Millionaire CEO discovers his cleaning lady is a better programmer than his entire team. A software engineer stumbled upon his janitor writing code that would save his company from bankruptcy. What she did next shocked the entire tech industry. But first, tell me in the comments, have you ever been underestimated because of your job title? And make sure you hit that subscribe button, because this story will change how you see genius forever. Ryan Mitchell's phone vibrated against the glass conference table for the 7th time in 2 minutes. He finally grabbed it, jaw clenched. What? The system's collapsing. We need you back here, now. His CTO's voice carried the kind of panic that meant millions were at stake. Ryan stood abruptly, leaving 3 investors mid-presentation. His corner office overlooked downtown Seattle, rain streaking the floor-to-ceiling windows. 3 monitors displayed cascading error messages, red text, flooding black screens like digital blood. Jessica Turner was emptying the trash bins in the hallway when she heard the commotion through the open door. Young Tyler had left his Nintendo Switch on Ryan's desk during lunch. The kid visited every Wednesday when school let out early. She hesitated at the threshold, then stepped inside quietly, just to grab the device. But the center monitor stopped her cold. The code was a catastrophe. Memory leaks everywhere, recursive functions eating themselves alive. It was like watching a digital car crash in slow motion. The switch was right there, next to the keyboard. She should take it and leave. "This is actually painful," she whispered. Her hands moved before her brain could stop them. She sat down, fingers finding the keyboard with muscle memory she'd forgotten she had. Line by line, she began untangling the mess, restructuring the logic flow, eliminating redundancies, creating clean pathways through the chaos. Her fingers danced across the keys with practiced precision. Test run, clean. Another test, perfect. The system purred like a Formula One engine. "What the hell do you think you're doing?" Jessica's blood turned to ice. Ryan stood in the doorway, his expression shifting from confusion to fury. "Mr. Mitchell, I'm so sorry. Tyler left his switch and I saw the code and I just reacted. I know I shouldn't have touched anything. I'll leave immediately." The words tumbled out in a rush. "You touched my system." He stepped closer, filling the doorframe. "You had no right." "I know. I'm sorry. But your recursive function was creating an infinite loop. It would have crashed everything within the hour, maybe less." Ryan froze. His eyes moved to the screen where code that had stumped his team of Carnegie Mellon and Stanford graduates for a month now ran flawlessly. "Show me exactly what you changed," he said, his voice dangerously quiet. Jessica's hands shook as she pointed to the screen. "Your architecture was brilliant, but the execution had a fatal flaw here." She traced the logic path. The garbage collection wasn't triggering properly, creating a memory bottleneck that would compound exponentially. Ryan sat slowly, running diagnostic after diagnostic. Every metric came back perfect. The system that had been hemorrhaging resources now operated at peak efficiency. "You just prevented a complete meltdown," he said, still staring at the screen. "This bug would have cost us our IPO. $300 million, minimum." Jessica stepped backward. "Please don't fire me. Tyler needs somewhere safe after school, and this job—" "Fire you?" Ryan turned to face her properly for the first time. Not the janitor he'd walked past for 2 years, but the person who'd just saved his company. "Where did you learn to code like this?" "Library computers, free online courses, YouTube tutorials at 3 a.m. when I couldn't sleep. You taught yourself. When you clean offices at night, you see a lot of screens. Started reading them instead of just dusting around them. Then I got curious if I could understand what they meant." She shrugged. "Turns out I could." Ryan leaned back, studying her. "Why didn't you ever apply for a developer position?" Jessica laughed bitterly. "Right. Hi, I'm Jessica. I clean your toilets, and I'd like to apply for senior developer. I don't have a degree. Your recruiter wouldn't even open my resume. The truth stung because she was right. He wouldn't have given her application a second glance. How long have you been studying? 6 years. Started after my divorce. Needed something to focus on besides how spectacularly my life had imploded. Ryan stood and walked to the window. The code you just fixed. My best engineers couldn't solve it. Maybe that's the problem, Jessica said quietly. Sometimes when you're taught there's only one right way, you can't see the simple solution staring at you. He turned back. Would you be willing to look at something else? Paid, of course. As a consultant. Jessica raised an eyebrow. You want to hire your janitor as a consultant? I want to hire someone who can solve problems my current team can't. She considered this. I pick up Tyler at 3:30. That's non-negotiable. Of course. And I'm not wearing heels and a blazer. Ryan actually smiled. Dress code is optional if your code works. Jessica picked up her cleaning supplies. I'll think about it. But right now, your bathroom still needs cleaning, and Tyler needs his switch. As she headed for the door, Ryan called out, Jessica? She paused. Thank you. She gave him a small nod. Try not to break anything else before tomorrow. After she left, Ryan stood alone in his office, staring at the perfectly functioning system. In 15 years of building his company, he'd recruited from the best schools in the country. Yet his most critical bug had just been solved by someone who learned programming while vacuuming carpets. He called his CTO, cancel the emergency meeting, crisis averted. What? How? Who figured it out? Ryan smiled. You wouldn't believe me if I told you. That evening, Jessica was helping Tyler with homework when her phone buzzed. A text from Ryan. Left another problem on my home office computer. Not a test. Real issue. Would appreciate your thoughts. R. She looked at Tyler, absorbed in his math problems, then back at the text. She should ignore it, keep her head down, maintain boundaries. But the pull of an unsolved problem was too strong. After Tyler was asleep, she crept into Ryan's home office. The screen displayed a database architecture that made her wince. It was like looking at a house of cards in an earthquake zone. She sat down and began to work. 3 hours later, she left a note. Your database was held together with wishful thinking and prayer. Fixed it. You're welcome. P.S. Tyler could hack your password in under 5 minutes. Do better. J. The next morning, Ryan was waiting in the kitchen when she arrived. Wishful thinking, he asked, holding up her note. Would you prefer I called it amateur hour? Jessica hung up her coat. Because it was amateur hour. My senior architect designed that system. Then fire your senior architect. Ryan laughed. Genuine, not the polite chuckle from board meetings. You really don't hold back. You pay me to be invisible, not honest. The honesty is free. Limited time offer. If you're loving this story, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. Because what happens next will absolutely blow your mind. Over the following weeks, Ryan began leaving problems for Jessica to find. Real issues his team struggled with. She solved them all, leaving notes that ranged from technically detailed to brutally sarcastic. Your encryption has more holes than Swiss cheese. Fixed. J. This algorithm is like a GPS that only knows how to turn left. Rebuilt from scratch. J. I've seen better code from teenagers on Reddit. Please tell me this was free. J. Each solution was elegant, efficient, and somehow always simpler than what his team attempted. It was becoming clear that Jessica didn't just understand programming. She had an intuitive grasp that most people spent decades trying to develop. One Thursday, Ryan made a decision that would later be called either genius or insanity. He was presenting at the quarterly investor meeting, facing a room full of venture capitalists who controlled billions in assets. This quarter presented unprecedented challenges, he began, scanning the sea of expensive suits. We faced technical obstacles that nearly derailed our IPO, but we also discovered something revolutionary about talent and innovation. He clicked to the next slide. It showed only brilliance has no degree. 6 weeks ago, our core system was failing. My team of engineers, all Ivy League graduates, couldn't fix it. The person who solved it in 20 minutes. She learned coding from YouTube while cleaning offices at night. Confused murmurs rippled through the room. Her name is Jessica Turner. She's been our building's janitor for 2 years. She's also the most naturally gifted programmer I've ever encountered. A hand shot up. Charles Blackwood, their biggest investor. Are you telling us the cleaning lady is fixing critical infrastructure? I'm telling you that talent exists everywhere. We've just been too arrogant to see it. This is absurd, Blackwood said. We invest in serious technology companies, not social experiments. Ryan's jaw tightened. With respect, Charles, this experiment has solved every critical issue this quarter. While our MIT graduates were writing reports about why things couldn't be fixed, Jessica was fixing them. Where is she now? Another investor asked. Probably at my house, making sure my 12-year-old nephew finishes his homework. Because unlike most of us in this room, she understands that some things matter more than stock options. The room erupted in arguments. Some investors were intrigued, others outraged. But Ryan didn't care. The truth needed to be said. That evening, he found Jessica in his kitchen, making Tyler a sandwich. You mentioned me to the investors, she said without looking up. How did you? Your head of HR called. Wanted to know if I had any certifications. She spread peanut butter with surgical precision. I told her my certification was your functioning database. Jessica, I want to offer you a position, a real position. She turned to face him. Ryan, I appreciate the gesture, but I don't want to be your charity case, the heartwarming success story you tell at conferences. That's not what this is, isn't it? She crossed her arms. You could have quietly hired me weeks ago. Instead, you announced it to investors. Why? Ryan was quiet for a moment. Because they needed to hear it. Because I needed to say it. Because pretending you're just a janitor when you're literally saving my company felt like lying. Jessica studied him. I have conditions. Name them. First, flexible hours. Tyler comes first, always. Done. Second, no fancy title to make everyone comfortable. If I'm a developer, I'm a developer, not inspirational developer or diversity hire developer, just developer. Agreed. Third, I keep my cleaning job. Ryan blinked. What? I like the work. It's honest. Plus, she smiled slightly. Tyler would be devastated if I stopped making his after-school snacks. Okay. If that's what you want. Jessica extended her hand. Then we have a deal. They shook hands, and Ryan felt something shift, not just professionally, but something deeper. Can I ask you something? He said. Shoot. Why did you really start learning programming? Jessica was quiet. My ex-husband said I'd never be more than someone who cleans up other people's messes. I wanted to prove him wrong. But somewhere along the way, I stopped caring about him and started caring about proving something to myself. Did you prove it? She smiled. I'm getting there. 6 months later, Jessica had officially transitioned into a hybrid role. 3 days developing, 2 days maintaining the building. The arrangement confused everyone, but the results spoke for themselves. Project efficiency up 40%. Bug resolution time cut in half. She'd also transformed the company culture in unexpected ways. The break room now had real food instead of just energy drinks. The offices had plants. Developers actually talked to each other instead of just messaging. She's like the office mom, one junior developer said. But she could also probably hack the Pentagon. Ryan had started working from home more often, claiming efficiency. But the truth was, he enjoyed the easy rhythm they'd developed. Morning coffee while reviewing code, lunch breaks where Tyler would join them, asking endless questions about everything from dinosaurs to databases, evening conversations that drifted from technical problems to life philosophy. One Friday evening, a crisis hit. Their biggest client system had been breached. Not their fault, but their problem to fix. The entire team was called in for an emergency weekend session. Jessica was at home with Tyler when Ryan called. "I know it's your weekend, but—" "Tyler, honey, want to see where the magic happens," she called out. Then to Ryan, "We'll be there in 20. She arrived in jeans and a t-shirt that read, "I void warranties." Tyler in tow with his backpack full of books and games. The development team, deep in crisis mode, barely noticed. Jessica set Tyler up in a corner office with his tablet and snacks, then dove into the breach analysis. Within an hour, she'd identified not just how the attackers got in, but 3 other vulnerabilities they hadn't exploited yet. "How do you see patterns that fast?" asked Sarah, one of the senior engineers. "When you clean, you notice what's out of place," Jessica replied, fingers flying across the keyboard. "Dust, where there shouldn't be dust. Same with code, data where it shouldn't be." By midnight, they'd not only fixed the breach, but implemented a new security protocol that Jessica designed on the fly. Tyler had fallen asleep on the couch, covered with someone's MIT hoodie. Ryan found Jessica on the roof deck, looking out at the city lights. "Tyler okay?" "Dead to the world. Your security guard is teaching him card tricks in his dreams, probably." They stood in comfortable silence. "You saved us again," Ryan said. "We saved us. I just knew where to look. Jessica, can I tell you something?" "Another something." "Why don't you want the recognition? Most people would be shouting their success from the rooftops." She turned to him. "Would you believe I'm happy being a secret weapon?" "No," she laughed. "Fine. The truth. Recognition comes with expectations. Expectations come with pressure. Pressure makes you forget why you started." She looked back at the city. "I've seen what that pressure does to you, Ryan. You're brilliant, successful, and miserable half the time. I'm not miserable. When was the last time you did something just for fun? Not networking, not strategic, just fun." Ryan thought about it. "I can't remember. That's my point. I'm having fun now," he said quietly. Jessica looked at him, something shifting in her expression. "Yeah? Yeah?" The air between them changed, charged with possibility. But before either could act on it, Tyler's voice called from the doorway. "Mom, I'm hungry." The moment broke, but not unpleasantly. Jessica smiled. "Duty calls. Come on, let's raid your office kitchen. I know you've got the good stuff hidden somewhere." As they headed inside, Ryan caught her hand briefly. "Jessica. Yeah, thank you for everything." She squeezed his hand once before letting go. "Any time, boss." The next week brought their biggest challenge yet. Novatech, their main competitor, had poached 3 senior engineers and was gunning for their biggest client with a lower bid and promises of revolutionary new architecture. Ryan called an emergency meeting. The conference room was tense. "And we need something game-changing," the head of sales said. "Novatech is promising delivery in half our timeline." "That's impossible," Sarah argued. "Doesn't matter if the client believes them." Jessica had been quietly working in the corner. She looked up. "What if it's not impossible?" Everyone turned to her. "What if we could actually deliver in half the time?" "Jessica, respectfully, you don't understand the scale," Sarah began. "I understand you're thinking linearly." Jessica stood, moving to the whiteboard. Step 1, Step 2, Step 3. But what if we worked in parallel? She began drawing a diagram that looked more like a symphony score than a flowchart. Different components working simultaneously, converging at key points, then splitting again. "This is insane," the CFO said. We'd need perfect coordination. No, Jessica countered. We'd need trust. Each team trusts the others to deliver. No micromanaging. Just trust and clear communication at convergence points. Ryan studied the diagram. It was radical. It was risky. It was brilliant. How long for a proof of concept? Jessica checked her watch. Give me until tomorrow morning. Jessica, that's 18 hours. Then I better get started. She worked through the night, fueled by coffee and determination. Ryan stayed too, ostensibly to help, but mostly to watch her work. It was like watching a maestro conduct. She didn't just write code, she sculpted it. At 3 a.m., Tyler called, having woken from a nightmare. Hey baby, Jessica said, phone wedged against her shoulder while typing. Yeah, that sounds scary. Want to hear about what Mommy's building? It's like a giant puzzle where all the pieces work at the same time. She talked him back to sleep while never stopping her work, weaving a story about data packets being like race cars finding the fastest route home. By morning, she had it. A working demonstration that not only met the halftime promise, but beat it by 3 days. The presentation to the client was that afternoon. Ryan wanted Jessica to lead it, but she refused. This is your company. I'm just the secret weapon, remember? Jessica. Ryan, trust me. You present better when you understand what you're presenting, and you understand this. He had been watching, and he did understand it. But more than that, he understood her. The presentation was flawless. The client was blown away. Novatech's offer was rejected within an hour. The team went out to celebrate. Jessica begged off, saying she needed to get home to Tyler. But Ryan found her in the parking garage, leaning against her old Toyota, looking exhausted but satisfied. We did it, he said. You did it, I just drew pictures. Jessica. He stepped closer. Stop doing that. Stop minimizing yourself. It's easier. Than what? Than admitting I might actually belong here. Than believing. She stopped. Believing what? She looked at him, vulnerable. Than believing someone like you could see someone like me as an equal. Make sure you're subscribed and hit that notification bell, because this story is about to take a turn that will leave you speechless. Ryan moved closer, close enough that she had to tilt her head back to maintain eye contact. Jessica, you're not my equal. Her face fell. You're better than me. In every way that counts. You're brilliant without being arrogant. You're successful without sacrificing your soul. You're a better parent, a better person, and definitely a better programmer. Ryan, and if I'm being honest, I've been falling for you since you called my database Amateur Hour and fixed it anyway. The parking garage was silent, except for the distant hum of ventilation. That's a terrible reason to fall for someone, Jessica finally said, but she was smiling. What would be a good reason? How about the way you stayed up all night just to watch me work? Or how you never once made me feel small for not having a degree? Or the way you look at Tyler like he's your own family? Jessica. Or, she continued, stepping closer, the fact that you're the first person who saw me. Not what I could do for you, just me. This time, when the moment charged between them, Tyler wasn't there to interrupt. No crisis to solve, no code to fix. Ryan cupped her face gently. Is this okay? My boss is about to kiss me in a parking garage. My life is officially a Netflix series. Is that a yes? That's a definitive yes. The kiss was soft, tentative at first, then deeper as years of careful boundaries finally dissolved. When they pulled apart, Jessica was smiling in a way Ryan had never seen, unguarded, genuinely happy. Well, so what happens now? She asked. Now we figure out how to be brilliant together. That was incredibly cheesy. You love it. I really do. 3 months later, at the annual Tech Innovation Awards, Ryan's company won for revolutionary development methodology. The entire team was on stage, but Ryan pulled Jessica forward. This belongs to someone who reminded us that innovation doesn't come from pedigrees. It comes from seeing problems differently and having the courage to solve them. Jessica took the microphone, looking out at the audience of tech elite. 8 months ago, I was invisible to everyone in this room. I cleaned your offices, your homes, and from that vantage point, I saw something. You've become so focused on complex solutions, you've forgotten the simple ones. So obsessed with credentials, you've forgotten competence. So busy building the future, you've forgotten the present. The room was silent. This award isn't just mine. It belongs to every night shift worker learning to code after their shift. Every single parent studying programming while their kids sleep. Every person who's been told they're not enough because they don't have the right diploma. She held up the award. This is proof that genius has no zip code, no tax bracket, no diploma. It just needs a chance. The applause was thunderous. But Jessica only had eyes for 2 people, Tyler, beaming with pride, and Ryan, looking at her like she'd hung the moon. Later, at the after-party, Charles Blackwood approached her. "I owe you an apology," he said. "I was wrong." "No," Jessica replied. "You were exactly what I expected. The question is, what will you do differently now?" Blackwood looked taken aback. What do you mean? How many Jessica Turners have you overlooked? How many brilliant minds have you dismissed because they didn't fit your narrow definition of talent?" I don't know." "Then find out, because I guarantee you, they're there, cleaning your office, driving your car, making your coffee, and every one you ignore is a missed opportunity." Blackwood nodded slowly. "Would you consider consulting for my firm? Help us identify overlooked talent." Jessica smiled. "I'll consider it, but my rates have gone up significantly." As Blackwood walked away, Ryan appeared with champagne. "Scaring away investors already." "Just educating them." She took a glass. "Someone has to. You know what I love about you? My code optimization skills. Those too. But mostly, I love that you never let me settle for less than my best. You challenge me, inspire me, and somehow make me want to be worthy of you." Jessica set down her glass. "Ryan Mitchell, are you getting sentimental?" "Maybe." "Good. Because I have something to tell you." "Oh." Tyler asked if you could be his dad. Not stepdad, just dad. Ryan's eyes widened. "What did you tell him?" "I told him he'd have to ask you himself." "Jessica, but first," she continued, "you'd have to ask me something." Ryan set down his glass, pulled out a small box, and got down on one knee right there in the middle of the party. The room fell silent. "Jessica Turner, you debugged my life, optimized my happiness, and wrote a love story I never saw coming. Will you marry me?" Jessica looked at the ring, simple, elegant, perfect. That was the nerdiest proposal in history. "Is that a yes?" "Ryan Mitchell, that's a definitive yes. But I have conditions." "Of course you do. First, I keep my last name. Turner Mitchell sounds badass." "Agreed." "Second, we work from home at least twice a week. Tyler needs stability." "Done." "Third, no more broken code as conversation starters." "Use your words like a grown-up," Ryan laughed. "I promise." "Then yes, absolutely yes." He slipped the ring on her finger and kissed her, the crowd erupting in applause. But they were oblivious, lost in their own world. 1 year later, Jessica stood before a packed auditorium at University of Washington, delivering the commencement speech to computer science graduates. "They asked me to speak today not because I'm like you, but because I'm not. I don't have a degree from this institution. I don't have a degree at all. What I have is proof that the path to success isn't always straight, and it definitely isn't always traditional." She looked out at the young faces. "You're entering a world that will try to put you in boxes. Junior, senior, lead, executive. But the most interesting careers happen when you refuse to fit in those boxes. Some of you will work for Fortune 500 companies. Others will launch startups. But I hope all of you remember that the person serving your coffee might have the solution to your biggest problem. The person cleaning your office might see what you're missing. The person you overlook might be the genius you're searching for. My husband likes to say I debugged his life, but the truth is, he debugged mine too. He saw potential where others saw limitations. He offered opportunity where others offered pity. And together, we built something neither of us could have created alone. So my challenge to you, look for brilliance in unexpected places. Hire for capability, not credentials. And never, ever underestimate someone because they took a different path. 6 years ago, I was cleaning offices and learning code on YouTube. Today, I'm Chief Innovation Officer of one of Seattle's fastest-growing tech companies. Not because I'm special, but because someone gave me a chance. Be that someone for somebody else. The standing ovation lasted 5 minutes, but Jessica barely noticed. She was watching Tyler in the front row, now 13, wearing a shirt that said, "My mom's code is better than your mom's code," and grinning with pride. Ryan sat beside him, recording everything, looking at her with the same wonder he'd had that first day she'd fixed his broken code. After the speech, a young woman approached. She wore a fast food uniform. "Ms. Turner, I wanted to thank you. I'm in my 2nd year of night school for computer science. Everyone says I'm crazy, but hearing you today, it gave me hope." Jessica handed her a business card. "Call me Monday. We have an internship program for non-traditional students, paid, flexible hours, and I personally mentor everyone." The woman's eyes filled with tears. "Are you serious?" "Completely. But I warn you, I expect excellence, regardless of where you come from. I won't let you down. I know you won't." As the woman walked away, Ryan appeared with Tyler. "Mom, you were amazing." Tyler hugged her tight. "Even better than when you fixed Dad's computer that first time. You remember that?" "Are you kidding? That's the day everything changed. That's the day you became a superhero." Jessica ruffled his hair. "I'm not a superhero, baby. I'm just someone who refused to stay invisible." "Same thing," Tyler said with teenage certainty. Later that evening, they sat around the dinner table in their new home, a perfect blend of high-tech and homey comfort. Ryan raised his glass. To Jessica Turner Mitchell, who proved that the best solutions are often the simplest. To Ryan Mitchell, Jessica countered, who proved that the best leaders learn. To Tyler Mitchell, they said together, who reminds us what really matters. "Can I make a toast?" Tyler asked. "Go for it." Tyler raised his juice glass. "To our family, weird, nerdy, and perfect." As they clinked glasses, Jessica thought about the journey, from invisible janitor to visible innovator, from single mother to partnered parent, from surviving to thriving. The path hadn't been straight, it hadn't been traditional, but it had been hers, and that made all the difference. 5 years had passed since that first day Jessica fixed Ryan's code.
Turner Mitchell Technologies was now valued at $3 billion, built on their principle of talent without borders. They'd hired over 500 non-traditional programmers, people who'd learned in libraries, community centers, and yes, YouTube universities worldwide. The company headquarters was unlike any other in Seattle.
Yes, it had cutting-edge technology, but it also had on-site daycare, a teaching kitchen, and a strict policy. Nobody worked past 6 p.m. unless there was a genuine emergency. "We're running a company, not a burnout factory," Jessica would tell skeptics. The results spoke volumes. Employee retention at 96%. Innovation metrics through the roof. They just landed a Pentagon contract worth more than all their competitors combined. But tonight wasn't about business. Tonight was Tyler's 18th birthday, and the house was full of teenagers, music, and controlled chaos. "Remember when you worried about making his after-school snacks?" Ryan asked. watching Tyler and his friends attempt some TikTok dance. Now I worry about him hacking into government systems for fun, Jessica replied. He wouldn't. He absolutely could. That's your genetics. The stubborn streak is definitely yours. They watched their son, tall now, with Jessica's sharp eyes and Ryan's easy smile, brilliant, kind, and somehow humble despite being exceptionally gifted. "Mom," Tyler called out, "tell everyone about the satellite incident." "Which one?" Jessica laughed. "The one where you fixed it during lunch." "Oh, that was nothing. Just a timing error in the communication protocol." "Nothing," one of Tyler's friends said. "Dude, your mum fixed a satellite while eating a sandwich. That's like superhero level." "My mum is better than a superhero," Tyler said proudly. "Superheroes are fiction. She's real." Later, after the party wound down and the house was quiet, Jessica found Ryan on their roof deck, looking at the stars. "Are deep thoughts?" she asked, settling beside him. "Thinking about a conversation years ago. You asked when I last did something just for fun. And? Every day with you is fun, even the hard days, even the impossible problems, because we solve them together." Jessica leaned against his shoulder. "You've gotten sentimental in your old age." 45 is not old. Says the man who needed help with TikTok. That's about dignity, not age. They sat in comfortable silence. "Ryan?" "I'm pregnant." He sat up so fast he nearly fell off the bench. "What? Are you serious? How long have you known? Are you okay? Should we?" Jessica laughed. "Breathe. I found out this morning." "Wanted to wait until after Tyler's party." Another baby. Ryan's face showed equal parts joy and terror. "Jessica, I'll be almost 60 when this kid graduates. And you'll be the coolest dad there. How are you so calm?" "Because we've handled everything else. Compared to that first day when you caught me fixing your code, this is easy." Ryan pulled her close. "I love you." "You know that?" "I had a suspicion." "Jessica Turner Mitchell, you are impossible." "Ryan Mitchell, that's why you married me." 9 months later, their daughter arrived. They named her Grace, because as Jessica said, the best things come when you least expect them. Tyler was instantly smitten with his baby sister, creating elaborate algorithms to optimize her sleep schedule until Jessica gently suggested he maybe just be a regular big brother for a while. The tech world watched as Jessica and Ryan continued redefining success. They turned down acquisition offers from tech giants, preferring independence. They implemented 4-day work weeks and saw productivity soar. They hired former convicts who'd learned coding in prison, single parents who could only work school hours, and people with disabilities who'd been told they couldn't contribute to tech. Each hire was a risk. Each one paid off. "You're not running a company," a rival CEO told Ryan at a conference. "You're running a social experiment." "No," Ryan replied. "Then we're proving that when you treat people like whole humans instead of resources, they give you their best work. Your way creates burnout. Our way creates brilliance." The Turner-Mitchell method became required study at Harvard Business School. Jessica was invited to speak at the United Nations about inclusive innovation. Ryan was featured on Time magazine's cover, the CEO who learned to listen. But their proudest moment came when Tyler, now 21 and graduating from MIT, stood as valedictorian. "My mother once told me that genius has no resume," he began. "She proved it by going from cleaning offices to running a billion-dollar company. But more importantly, she taught me that success isn't about what you achieve. It's about who you lift up along the way." My parents built a company, but they also built a movement. They proved talent exists everywhere, in every neighborhood, every background, every circumstance. You just have to be willing to see it. To my fellow graduates, I challenge you. Look beyond the obvious. Hire the unlikely. Invest in the impossible. And never, ever underestimate someone because they took a different path. 4 years from now, I'll have my MIT degree. But I'll never be as smart as my mom was the day she sat down at a stranger's computer and decided to fix what was broken. Not for money, not for recognition, but because she couldn't stand to see something that could be better left unfixed. That's real genius. Seeing potential where others see problems. And that's the legacy I hope to continue. As Tyler left the stage, Jessica wiped away tears. Ryan squeezed her hand. "We did good," he whispered. "We did amazing," she corrected. Later that night, their family celebrated Tyler's graduation. 3-year-old Grace performed interpretive dance, while Tyler tried to teach her basic coding concepts. Jessica stood back, watching the life she'd built. It wasn't the life she'd planned. When she was cleaning offices at 2 a.m., studying code on library computers, she never imagined this. A husband who saw her as an equal, children proud of where she came from, a company that proved success didn't require sacrificing your soul. "What are you thinking?" Ryan asked, appearing beside her with Grace on his shoulders. "About how sometimes the biggest risks lead to the best rewards. Like sitting at your employer's computer without permission? Exactly like that." "Mommy!" Grace shouted. "Look, I can see everything from up here." "Yes, you can, baby. You can see everything." Jessica smiled. That's exactly how she felt, like she could see forever. And it was beautiful. As evening settled and their home filled with the comfortable chaos of family life, Jessica thought about all the invisible people out there, still overlooked, still underestimated, still waiting for their chance. Tomorrow, she'd go back to work finding them, hiring them, proving that brilliance comes in all packages. But tonight, she was just Jessica Turner Mitchell, wife, mother, former janitor, current revolutionary. And that was more than enough. It was everything. The story of Jessica Turner Mitchell became Silicon Valley legend, but the real impact was in the thousands of lives changed. The single parent who became a lead developer, the formerly incarcerated person who became a security expert, the night school student who invented an algorithm that revolutionized data processing. Each success added to the mounting evidence. Talent was everywhere. You just had to be willing to see it. And in boardrooms across the country, executives began asking a new question. Are we looking for credentials, or are we looking for capability? 10 years had passed now. Turner Mitchell Technologies had become the gold standard for inclusive innovation. Their latest project, a partnership with community colleges nationwide to create alternative pathways into tech, had just received federal funding. Jessica stood in their newest facility, watching a group of students, former fast food workers, retail employees, stay-at-home parents, all learning to code, each one a potential genius waiting to be discovered. "You did this," Ryan said, joining her at the observation window. "We did this," she corrected. "No, Jess, this was your vision. I just had the platform." She turned to him. "You had more than that. You had the courage to see differently, to risk everything on someone who, on paper, made no sense. Best risk I ever took. Even better than that sketchy startup you invested in freshman year. That startup made me rich. You made me whole." Even after all these years, he could still make her blush. "Mom, Dad!" Tyler's voice called out. He was 25 now, running his own division of the company focused on AI ethics. Grace hacked into the Pentagon again. "I did not," 7-year-old Grace protested, appearing with her tablet. "I just looked around a little." "Grace Michelle Mitchell," Jessica said sternly. "What have we said about unauthorized access? That it's wrong unless it's to help people. And were you helping people? Well, I was helping myself understand their security flaws. That's kind of helping, right?" Ryan tried not to laugh. Jessica shot him a look. "We're going to have a talk about boundaries, young lady," Jessica said. "But Mom, their encryption was so bad, it was basically asking to be improved." "That sounds familiar," Ryan muttered, remembering a certain note about his password years ago. As they dealt with their daughter's latest technological adventure, Jessica couldn't help but smile. This chaos, this brilliance, this beautiful, messy, perfect life. It all started with a moment of boldness. A janitor who dared to sit down at a computer that wasn't hers and fix what was broken. Sometimes the smallest acts of courage lead to the biggest changes, and sometimes, just sometimes, the person who seems the least likely to change your world is exactly the person who will. The phone rang. Ryan answered, his face growing serious. "It's the President's Chief of Staff," he said, covering the receiver. "They want to talk to you about leading a national initiative on inclusive tech education." Jessica took the phone, that same determined look in her eyes that Ryan had first seen all those years ago. "This is Jessica Turner Mitchell. How can I help?" As she talked, outlining her vision for a program that could transform the entire country's approach to tech talent, Ryan watched with the same awe he'd felt that first day. Grace was on his lap, already typing code that would probably embarrass half their junior developers. Tyler was sketching out implementation strategies on his tablet. This was their legacy, not just a company, but a movement, not just success, but significance. And it all started with a janitor who refused to be invisible. The conversation with the White House lasted an hour. When Jessica finally hung up, her family was waiting expectantly. "Well?" Tyler asked. "They want me to lead a nationwide program. Federal funding, full support, the works." "That's incredible," Ryan said. "There's a catch," Jessica said. "We'd have to relocate to D.C. for at least 2 years. The room fell silent. "But our whole life is here," Tyler said quietly. "I know, baby." "What do you think we should do?" Ryan asked. Jessica looked at her family, her brilliant, unconventional, perfect family. "I think," she said slowly, "that sometimes you have to leave your comfort zone to change the world." Grace piped up. "Can I review federal systems for security flaws?" "Absolutely not," Jessica and Ryan said in unison. "You guys are no fun," Grace pouted. "We're plenty fun," Jessica said, scooping her up. "We're just fun with boundaries." That night, after the kids were asleep, Jessica and Ryan sat on their roof deck one more time, looking out at the Seattle skyline. "Are we really doing this?" Ryan asked. "I think we are. D.C. won't know what hit them." "That's the idea." They sat in comfortable silence, each lost in thought about the journey ahead. Ryan: "Yeah. Thank you." "For what?" "For seeing me. That first day, when you could have just fired me. You saw me." "Jessica, you were impossible to miss. You were brilliant, brave, and you called my code garbage. How could I not see you?" She laughed. Did I believe the term was amateur hour? Even worse, or better, depending on how you look at it. Jessica Turner Mitchell, are you saying insulting my code was a good thing? It got your attention, didn't it? You had my attention the moment you sat down at that computer. Everything since then has just been me trying to keep up. They kissed, soft and familiar, but still with that spark from their first kiss in the parking garage. "Ready for another adventure?" Jessica asked. "With you?" "Always." 6 months later, Jessica stood in the Oval Office, being sworn in as the first Director of Inclusive Technology Innovation. Her family stood beside her. Ryan, proud and supportive. Tyler, now engaged to a brilliant doctor he'd met at MIT. Grace, trying very hard to look serious and not touch anything. "Do you solemnly swear to execute the duties of this office to the best of your ability?" the Chief Justice asked. "I do. Congratulations, Director Turner Mitchell." As cameras flashed and history was made, Jessica thought about all the invisible people watching this moment. The janitors, the food service workers, the single parents working 3 jobs and studying code at night. This was for them. Later, at the reception, a young janitor was cleaning up spilled champagne near Jessica's table. Their eyes met, I'm sorry about the mess, Mom, the janitor said. Don't apologize, Jessica said, standing. What's your name? Maria. Maria, do you know who I am? Yes, ma'am. You're the new director. Do you know what I used to do? No, ma'am. Jessica smiled. I used to clean offices, just like you. And while I cleaned, I taught myself to code. Maria's eyes widened. Do you have dreams, Maria, beyond this? Maria glanced around nervously. I study data science, online, at night. Jessica pulled out her card. Call my office Monday. We're starting a new program, and I need people who understand what it's like to be invisible. Are you serious? Completely. But I warn you, I expect excellence. Your background is an explanation, not an excuse. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you so much. As Maria walked away, clutching the card like a lifeline, Ryan appeared at Jessica's side. Already recruiting. Always recruiting. Talent is everywhere, remember? How could I forget? You taught me that lesson very well. Grace tugged on Jessica's dress. Mommy, that lady looked happy. She should be, baby. She just got her chance, like you did, exactly like I did. Will she change the world too? Jessica knelt down to Grace's level. That's up to her, but yes, I think she will. How do you know? Because, sweetheart, everyone has the power to change the world. They just need someone to believe in them first. Grace nodded solemnly, then brightened. Can I have more cake? One more piece. As Grace ran off, Tyler approached with his fiancée, Dr. Lily Chen, no relation to Ryan, despite the name. Mom, Lily has something to tell you. Lily, brilliant and kind, the perfect match for Tyler, smiled nervously. I'm pregnant. Jessica's hands flew to her mouth. Oh my God, really? Really? I'm going to be a grandmother? The coolest grandmother ever, Tyler said, hugging her. Ryan wrapped his arms around all of them. Our family keeps growing. And getting weirder, Tyler added. Weird is good, Jessica said. Normal is overrated. That night, in their temporary D.C. residence, Jessica stood at the window, looking out at the Capitol building, lit up against the night sky. Scared? Ryan asked, joining her. Terrified. You don't look it. I learned a long time ago that the best things happen when you're terrified, but do it anyway. Like sitting down at a stranger's computer. Like falling in love with my boss. Like changing the entire tech industry. Like raising Grace to not hack federal systems. They both laughed. Speaking of which, Ryan said, I found her improvements to the Department of Education's website. Oh God. They're actually quite good. Ryan, I'm not encouraging it. I'm just saying, objectively, she optimized their load time by 300%. We're terrible parents. We're unconventional parents. There's a difference. Jessica leaned into him. Thank you for taking this journey with me. Jess, I'd follow you anywhere. Even to a world where janitors become CTOs. Especially there. 2 years later, Jessica's program had placed over 10,000 non-traditional candidates in tech positions across the country. The ripple effects were staggering. Entire communities transformed, generational poverty broken, innovation flourishing in unexpected places. She stood before Congress, delivering her final report as director. 2 years ago, you took a chance on someone who learned to code while mopping floors. Today, I stand before you with proof that talent has no zip code, no tax bracket, no pedigree. It just needs opportunity. We've placed former fast food workers in Fortune 500 companies, former inmates in cybersecurity firms, single parents in startup accelerators. And every single one has exceeded expectations. But more than numbers, we've changed the conversation. Companies no longer ask, where did you go to school? They ask, what can you build? They don't look at resumes, they look at results. This is just the beginning. The next phase of American innovation won't come from the usual places. It will come from community colleges and libraries, from night schools and YouTube universities. It will come from people who've been invisible for too long. I started as a janitor who fixed her boss's code. I stand here now as proof that when you give people chances, they don't just meet expectations, they shatter them. The standing ovation lasted 10 minutes. After the session, Jessica found Maria, the janitor from the reception 2 years ago, now a senior data analyst at NASA, waiting for her. Director Turner Mitchell, I wanted to thank you. You changed my life. No, Maria. You changed your life. I just opened a door. You did more than that. You showed me it was possible. They hugged, and Jessica whispered, "Now go show someone else." That evening, the Turner Mitchell family gathered for dinner in their D.C. home. Tyler and Lily were there with baby Emma. Grace, now 9 and having grudgingly agreed to only ethically hack systems, was teaching Emma basic patterns on a light-up toy. "So," Ryan said, raising his glass, "Jessica's term as director is officially over. What's next?" "Well," Jessica said, a mischievous smile playing at her lips, "I got an interesting call today." "Oh," Tyler asked. "They want me to run for Senate." The table erupted. "Mom, that's incredible." "Jessica, are you serious? Can I hack your opponents? Help with your digital campaign?" Jessica laughed. "I haven't decided yet. It would mean more time in D.C., more time away from the company, more scrutiny on all of us." "But," Ryan prompted, "but imagine what we could do with real legislative power. Imagine making our programs federal law. Imagine ensuring that every invisible person in America gets their chance." "You're going to do it," Tyler said. It wasn't a question. "Probably," Jessica admitted. "Senator Turner Mitchell," Ryan said, testing it out. "I like it. Don't jinx it. I have to win first." "Mom," Grace said seriously, "you fixed Dad's computer, built a billion-dollar company, revolutionized tech hiring, and got the president to call you a force of nature. I think you can handle a campaign. When did you get so wise?" "I learned from the best." Later that night, after everyone had gone home and Grace was asleep, Jessica and Ryan sat on their porch, watching fireflies dance in the summer evening. "From janitor to senator," Ryan mused. "That's quite a journey. We're not there yet. We will be. You sound confident." "I am. You've never failed at anything you've truly committed to." "I failed at my first marriage. That wasn't failure. That was redirection. It led you to Tyler, to that night job, to learning code, to my office, to us." Jessica considered this. "So you're saying my ex-husband's worst behavior led to our best life?" "I'm saying sometimes what looks like failure is just life getting you ready for something better." Ryan Mitchell, when did you become a philosopher? "Sometime between watching you fix my code and watching you fix the country." They sat in comfortable silence, holding hands, two people who'd found each other in the most unlikely way and built something extraordinary. Ryan, "Yeah. Thank you for seeing me when I was invisible." Jessica, "You were never invisible. You were just waiting for the right moment to shine. That moment was you." "No," Ryan said, pulling her close. "That moment was you deciding you deserved more. I was just lucky enough to be there when you took it." As the fireflies continued their dance and the Capitol dome glowed in the distance, Jessica thought about all the moments that had led here. Every late night studying code, every problem solved, every barrier broken. Tomorrow, she'd announce her Senate campaign. Tomorrow, she'd start fighting for every invisible person in America. But tonight, she was just Jessica Turner Mitchell, former janitor. Current revolutionary, future senator, wife, mother, grandmother, living proof that the most extraordinary stories often begin with the most ordinary moments. And that genius, true genius, isn't about where you come from. It's about where you're brave enough to go. If you made it this far, you're absolutely amazing. Hit that subscribe button right now and ring the notification bell.
Share this story with someone who needs to hear that their dreams aren't limited by their circumstances. Remember, sometimes the person who seems the least likely to change the world is exactly the person who will. Your genius is waiting to be discovered. The question is, are you brave enough to let it shine? Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.